Hi, and welcome to World Continence Week video learning series. I'm your host, Vic Sinise, and we're going to talk about how to use a voiding diary. The voiding diary. Your doctor may have asked you to keep a voiding diary, and you might say, why? Well, it can sometimes give us useful information like clarifying voiding patterns. It can serve as a baseline for treatment interventions, so we see what you're like now and then compare it after treatment. And it can sometimes reveal some strange habits that people get into in drinking large amounts of fluids and what type of fluids this. Did you know that there have been a number of studies that have validated that this tool is actually useful for the management of incontinence? It's also reliable in assessing how well your treatment is working. This may come as a surprise, but the number of voiding episodes reported by the patient only matches the voiding diary about 48% of the time. Correlation for this was higher for patients reporting few episodes in the evening and lowest for patients reporting multiple episodes of getting up at night. This study suggests that the voiding diaries are essential in helping to determine the actual number of voiding episodes per night. And the need for a voiding diary becomes more important as the amount of nighttime getting up increases. How many days should you do this for? Well, originally the thought was 7 days was optimal for completing a diary. However, we find that it's a burden for patients to try to do 7 days, and studies have accepted that 3 days does give a good assessment of bladder function. What kind of equipment are you going to need? Well, you're going to need a clock so that you can mark down the times that you're recording your intake and outputs on the voiding diary. You'll need a collection device, and you can ask your doctor. Sometimes they'll be more than glad to supply you with a bottle that has some measurements on it, or a urinal will work. There's even these collection devices that fit inside of the toilet for females that have measurements inside of them so that you can go ahead and just use the toilet as you naturally would and measure your amount. And then some type of recording device, and of course the best recording device is the voiding diary. So let's look a little bit here at the voiding diary. Here's Sally Smith's diary. It's a spreadsheet that allows us to look at the time of day. In this column we're going to mark the amount of fluids that we're taking in, and especially noting what type of fluids those are. And then we're going to make an estimate or an actual measurement in ounces of our voids. If there's any leakage, we can again estimate that and record it here. What were we doing when the leakage occurred? Do we have the urge to urinate, yes or no, when it occurred? And if you're wearing a pad, was it damp or wet? So Sally Smith's going to start filling this out, and it doesn't really matter what time you start it, as long as you record it for 24 hours. So we're going to start ours at 8:30 a.m. Sally Smith at 8:30, notice there was a few drops of urine. It happened when she sneezed, but she had no urge to go at that time. Along comes 9 a.m. and Sally's thirsty, so she has a 12-ounce can of Pepsi. And at 10 o'clock, now she has to go to the bathroom, and she used that little device for the toilet and measured out 300 cc's of urine. It's all there is to it. Just record intake and output. Make sure that you remember that you should do this for a 24-hour period. 3 days is the best. They don't have to be consecutive days, just 3 days worth of recordings for 24 hours. And stressing accuracy. Try to estimate as close to as possible when estimating, and measure when possible. Now, if you don't have a voiding diary, come visit the World Continence Week-USA website. Be sure to check this site out for lots of good information about what's going on in your area. Now you need that voiding diary. If you simply go here to downloads, you'll find a whole group of things that are helpful for you to have, but right here is voiding diary. Click on that and it'll go ahead and bring up a voiding diary that you can go ahead and print out for yourself. Yes, there's even an app for recording a voiding diary called the IP Voiding Diary. It's available for the iPhone, the iTouch, and the iPad. Available at the iTunes Store. Here's what it looks like. You can go right to the iTunes Store, download it. It is free. However, if you use it, there's an in-app purchase, which means every day you're going to record, there's a $1.99 charge you have to pay. So maybe not the cheapest way, but it is kind of a nice system. I thought I'd go through it with you just to show you. So this is what it looks like, the start screen. Nice thing is people seem to have their cell phones with them all the time. It will provide you with a nice overview of your drinking and voiding habits. Intake is very easy to add. You simply click the Add Intake button, choose from the menu, and it will add it in there for you. If it's not in their list, you can make your own list, create your own items, how much they were, and go ahead and add those in too. Voiding, no problem. It keeps track of all the times you've urinated, and you can simply click the orange Add P button, and it allows you to simply dial in what that volume was. You can add a score for the urge and pain and record that and hit done. Have a leakage. Again, it keeps a running track of any time you did have a leak. Add a leak when it occurs. Again, you can score it, the degree, the urge, and what caused it. Simple touch buttons. And the nice thing is it will then create these 3 pages worth of reports that you can bring to your doctor's office. And yes, you can print these out on your computer, so you have a paper copy of this. So hey, for more information on continence, join us at the worldcontinenceweek-usa.org.